Now, the United Nations is pushing for more integrated reporting in Kenya, a move that will have companies report not only their financial performance, but also compliance with best practice in environmental, social, and governance sustainability. The United Nations Global Compact CEO and Executive Director Sanda Odhiambo says embracing this will be pivotal in the future of Kenya's private sector. Sanda Odhiambo, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Right off the bat, globally there's a lot of push for integrated reporting. Of course, integrated being the purpose and the profit going hand in hand. But many corporate executives will tell you that the quarterly reporting cycle does not necessarily dovetail with a purpose-driven long-term agenda. In your own sense, how do you think we should begin finding a balance between the two?
First of all, it's an age-old conundrum, and I think it's a really good question that CEOs should ask because, you know, we firmly believe that purpose and profit can coexist, right? So it's very important, and the work that we do is to help companies shift their operations, their processes, and their strategies so that they are profitable, more profitable at the end. We're not looking for philanthropic approaches to what we do. It's really about business and business purpose. That's the first. I think the second is to just acknowledge that there will always be a tension between short-term business decisions and longer-term business decisions, and the ROI will come. You know, statistics say that the average tenure of a CEO in office is somewhere between 4 to 7 years. So, you know, the things that the CEO has to contend with is, you know, what are the decisions I'm going to make? Are they business decisions for the current operating environment, or am I making business decisions to set up business for the long term? And I think with that perspective, you will see that making certain decisions now will pay off in the longer term. You know, there's some that are self-evident. If you look at issues such as green energy and green technologies, you know, making a decision now in greening your energy sources may be expensive, but certainly the payoff in the long term will be immense. It may not have a monetary ROI, but you certainly get a more inclusive, more diverse workforce. You know, different ideas I'm sure will come to the work that you do and your communications, and definitely enriches the overall work environment at the company.
So one of the key challenges that corporates face when it comes to adhering to the purpose-driven reporting standards is the fact that there is no global adhered to standardization process. So what is applied in one market does not necessarily apply in another market. Speaking to the African continent, what progress do you think has been made thus far, and how do we now begin to have a far-reaching standardization process when it comes to the ESG reporting?
Yeah, that is a really interesting question, and there's been so much growth and momentum and shifts in the overall reporting environment. You know, if I look at it from the European perspective with the EU, a lot of it is driven actually by regulation and requirements now that companies need to go above and beyond financial reporting. I think in general that is a good principle. You know, finances don't determine the overall health and sustainability of a company. With the EU, as I said, that's been driven primarily by regulation. In the US, we're seeing alliances being built between a couple of reporting standards and frameworks. The GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, SASB, that's primarily used in the US, IFRS, the International Financial Reporting Standards, you know, coming together to see what that standard would look like for integrated reporting. So, you know, you'll probably see, you know, 5 or 6 major alliances coming up. Will there be ultimate harmonization? Not too sure what that would look like. But I think what is really important is that companies are able to take a holistic view to their reporting. I think we've moved far beyond saying that it's only the financials that provide that overall picture of a company's stability and longevity. You know, from the Global Compact perspective, we're not a reporting standard, but we certainly have a voluntary reporting requirement. And we found that companies that are our members, who have to report annually, often use our reporting methodologies to support them when they have to report into more compulsory or regulatory required reporting.
One of the common cited challenge is just a shortage of data. So whereas when I'm doing this typical financial reporting, it's very clear I'm looking at return on equity, return on assets. When it comes to the ESG reporting, we don't yet have visibility on a number of data points. How do you think we should go about this going forward, especially as we begin to now onboard many corporates into this profit and purpose-driven integrated reporting?
Yeah, and you know, I think over time, our market here will develop a lot further. Admittedly, there's not that many companies that are reporting, you know, completely or consistently on ESG data. But you do have a few companies that are doing extremely well. Last week I also visited the Securities Exchange, and the CEO there was telling me about, uptake in reporting around ESG. So it's a growing market. That's the first. You might not have consistent data across all of them. But, I think data is the end point of a continuum. What's more important is how many companies have embraced and sort of integrated a sustainable business strategy into their corporate strategy, taking firm actions toward that, and then can report. So I think we need to build more practice, and then you'd have a larger group of companies who are reporting.